Man, you know what, Trevor? I was thinking a little country music, man. I was like a little, and the thunder rolls. A little Garth Brooks, man. I'll tell you what, man. We have the craziest weather going on outside right now. We got hail and thunder and lightning. It's a crazy scenario out there. What Mother Nature is kicking it off, just like we're kicking off Friday night with a little DBR. My name is Keith Brugman. I am your host. This is the Rocky Mountain Sports Network. My trusty Friday night co-host. I need to get my directions going right. Mr. Trevor Salzman. Welcome, Trevor. How you doing, man? Feeling some country music, some Thunder Rolls, some Garth Brooks, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's maybe pre-Thunder Roll because maybe wind roll. I don't know. It's just really windy here. I feel like I'm living in Chicago, not Colorado, with the wind. How bad the wind's blowing here. It's not raining yet. It's not thundering yet, but I'm sure expecting it to here soon. So, but just getting through the wind, and it was a day today in the wind. It was definitely not fun. I'll say that. But at least it could be worse, right? It could be snowing and blizzard.
Yeah, there you go. I can't see out the window because I keep it all like blocked out. It could be a blizzard for all I know. We're supposed to be getting a little bit of snow. So that being said, crazy stuff, man. Just like the Broncos, man. They've been crazy all off season. What we thought might happen didn't. What we did think happened maybe did. It's been wild, man. It's been wild. We're gonna have a wild like 45 minutes, maybe an hour. Well, not even an hour, guys. We got to be out of here at 8:00. And I'm telling you why, guys. Rocky Mountain Sports Network, the parent company, man. It's the debut of Settle the Scores with our good friend Ryan Scoops Woodhams. Check it out. It's going to be coming on 8:30 on the Rocky Mountain Sports Network. If you're tuned in to RMSN, you'll get that notification. By the way, that's a great time for me to say like, share, subscribe. Guys, if you're liking and you're sharing right now, we're going to get all your friends in here. We'll have a good old time. We plan to have a good old time, and I got to get into the posse here, man, because they're lighting it up already. Mr. Ernie Mays coming in here and saying, "Go Broncos country only." Absolutely, Mr. Ernie Mays. So good to see you. Just like my good friend right here in the same state as me, Mr. Jeremy Dressler. Sup, fellas? Go Broncos. Good to see you, man. Representing. I'm sure the weather's a little wild where you're at as well, my friend. Roy Osborne. Hey there, Keith and Trevor. We are expecting a blizzard here this weekend, though. There you go, man. Right around the corner, man. Just like we were talking. Hey, guys, we know who this is. This is Mr. Clayton. He's saying smash that like button and share, guys. Appreciate it. DBR for life, baby. Absolutely, guys. It's times like these, well, the ongoing times like these where we have to be Denver Broncos for life. It gets a little rough from time to time, and this might be one of those rough seasons, but never rough as Mr. Michael Ronquillo landing in from Tucson, Arizona, saying good evening, Keith and Trevor, and go Broncos. Absolutely, buddy. Orange and blue. Clap it up, buddy. Love you, buddy. Thank you so much for joining in here. Who else we got in here? Oh, this is Pearl. I got her off to the saying, hi, Vance's show due to high winds. We are supposed to have 125, 50. To have on I-25, 80 to 100 mile hope. Oh, I think she's saying the show might be canceled due to high winds. Get back in there. Yeah, I canceled the show. So we'll be talking a little bit more about Morgan Trinkets, our fantastic sponsor. But for all of those who had already planned a trip to go see her at the show, sorry guys. It's been canceled. This is my sis coming in saying, yo, bro. Hello, Leanna. Good to see you. And Pearl's giving us those hearts, always giving us hearts, always giving us love. Last one, guys. Yeah, Michael Ronquillo, Mother Nature, this world, this earth. I got thunder, hail. We have earthquakes in New York. Looks like it was minimal. There wasn't any damage. People are okay. But we send out our best. So we better get into this, buddy. You wanted to talk a little bit about Mr. Mike Clay of ESPN. He came out a little bit ago. We hadn't spoke about it. It's been in the back of our minds, I guess. But Mike Clay came out and, like I said, in the little headliner, man, kind of roasted the Denver Broncos and the team and where they rank among the NFL. So where do you want to start with this overall ranking, Trevor? Let's take it away, man.
Yeah, I mean, we can just start off with quarterback. I mean, so Mike Clay, I put out this 4.0 chart. So 4.0 would be the highest grade a team could get. For example, the Kansas City Chiefs, and I know, guys, this is a little hard to see, so you may have to zoom in or find a way to zoom in somehow, some way. We tried to make it bigger, and we just couldn't get there. Our apologies. But it's like, if you look at the top of the Kansas City Chiefs, they have a 4.0 grade at quarterback. Well, they have Patrick Mahomes. It's the best quarterback in the NFL. Where he has the Denver Broncos graded at is a 0.3. That's just above the Arizona Cardinals. Well, that's just above. No, excuse me. That's one of the worst in the NFL. That's just above the Commanders.
Yeah, there you go.
But the Commanders, we all know where the Commanders are at as far as getting a rookie quarterback. So, yeah. So I mean, we start with quarterback right there, and then I mean that's just on a 0.3 on the scale. It's a 0.1 is the minimum you can have, just because I mean it's a living, breathing player, so that automatically makes it a 0.1 on the scale. So at 0.3, that's where he has the Broncos quarterback room as of right now, and that's rough. Obviously, that's very rough. But I mean, if you don't even touch the quarterback position, if you look at the running back position, 0.9, that's his grade for our running back room, right?
Mm-hmm.
1.1 grade for the wide receiver room, which is, again, it's not the worst, but it's not the best.
No.
2.9 for the offensive line. That's the highest grade, one of the highest grades I see on the for the.
It would be. It ranks us 10th overall.
Yeah. So the highest grade for the Denver Broncos. So you can just look through these rankings here and where he categories this out, and man, it's difficult. And everybody talks about trading up for a quarterback. That's why I kind of kept going down the line, position by position, and we look at quarterback position. Keith, does it make sense? Looking at this right here, does that make sense for Denver to trade up in the draft, give up premium draft capital where this roster is? You see a whole bunch of red right where the Broncos are at, not just quarterback.
No, it's not just quarterback. I went to the individual ranking list on all of these. So safety and quarterback, both 31st. Edge rusher and running back are 26th ranked. Wide receiver, 25th. Tight end, 24th, along with the off-ball linebacker that's 24th. Interior defensive line ranked an amazing 17th. That was the most surprising ranking I saw overall. Cornerback 14th, and then we already talked about the number one ranking we have on this entire list. That's our offensive line at 10th. The one thing that I would say about this, and as I went in through the individual rankings, Trevor, who is the Kansas City Chiefs backup quarterback?
Your guess is as good as mine.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. This is a heavily weighted list in some of these positions and categories. Running back would be another one. Top team overall. Guess who the top team is? Well, it happens to be the 49ers with Christian McCaffrey. But who's their second running back? Who's their third running back? Ian Book is the number 2 quarterback for the Kansas City Chiefs. And if you're going to go out there and say Ian Book is, watch out, Ian Book's out there, guys. If Patrick Mahomes goes down, they're still fantastic. They're on fire. We better look out. You're crazy. All right. So don't talk to me about the position. You're talking about a position, not a position group in some of these, as far as my overall thoughts on this. That being said, this does point out that the fact that you can say that for position by position, but at the same time, a lot of these are groups, right? When you talk about secondary, when you talk about your interior defensive line, when you talk about your edge group, this is a group of individuals. It's not a single person. And these are places that we need help, Trevor. We absolutely need help, man. It points out, like you have been talking about for a while. I'll take this down for just a second so we can see our beautiful faces here. Or maybe I should hide them again. But, it goes to show just how much help we need on this roster. We're not a quarterback away. We're not a edge rusher away. We're not that second cornerback away. You know what I mean? We're not that tight end away. Whatever position you want to put into that category, and that's really in my idea, my thought, that's where you want to be sitting at number 12. where you can maybe take a best position available, because really you can get a great guy at best position available at number 12, but you're not going to get probably the position that you value most, right? At least not for the Denver Broncos this year. I'll just say hello to a couple people. I get your thoughts on that. Got to say hello to Kenny of the K&K Sports Show, coming in and saying, oh, and good evening, Keith and Trevor. How are my podcast cousins doing this evening? I'm doing fantastic. Trevor, how are you doing?
Great.
Great. Like Tony the Tiger, great, man.
Great.
I got Scoops coming in here. This is our co-host that you'll be watching in about an hour, guys. 8:30 Mountain Standard Time. It's the debut episode of Settle the Scores with our good friend Scoops. He's coming in saying my cousin's-in-law is a tight end. Maybe he'll go to Denver. That'd be fun. Absolutely, man. Let me know who your tight end is. I had no idea. Carson Wentz is now the possible backup quarterback. I forgot, because that actually transacted, I think, since Mike Clay's came out. So, man, they should be a 4.2 on this scale now with Carson Wentz as their backup. I don't know how they're going to rate him any higher, the Kansas City Chiefs. Yeah. All right. A few more loves going around all the way around, guys. But Trevor, what are your you asked me, what does this tell you? What does this tell you? What did this report tell you that I'm looking at?
Yeah, so this tells me that this is not just that Denver shouldn't be in the market to trade up to pick 4 and to pick 3 in this year's draft. If their quarterback slides, okay, a slight trade up is fine. But trading 3 first-round picks again, more premium draft capital again, just makes no sense for where this roster is. I get finding a good quarterback a great, not even good quarterback, franchise quarterback can really put your team in a great spot and can hide some of those holes to a degree. Yes, they can. But what's the odds that Denver's going to be able to do that? You're telling me you're going to trade up for the 4th best quarterback in this class. I picked 4. And so what it tells me is overall is this is a 2 to 3 year plan to make this team better, not just one offseason plan. Like what Denver's doing this offseason to this point, depth signings, right? Guys that are hopeful will be starters, but really haven't had a ton of starters experience. It's not like the Broncos are going out and spending millions and millions of dollars, of course, because of the Russell Wilson situation, but they just don't have the money right now. So what it tells me is it's a more than a 1-year plan. And I mean, Sean Payton has probably got a longer leash because he needs time to put this roster together and get into position where they can go get that franchise quarterback. I just don't know that it's great for both sides, for the Broncos and for a rookie quarterback to come into this situation and try to succeed. Is that going to help him much? I don't know. I think everybody's got caught up with the Houston Texans did last year with CJ Stroud. That roster was a lot better than where Denver's at right now. And they have the younger guys are under team control that they already had, and they have more draft capital, and they didn't have to trade up. They're already at pick 2. CJ Stroud just fell to them. Denver's not at pick 2. They're at pick 12. They have to give up premium draft capital to get there for the 4th best quarterback in this class. So it's just, I get where everybody wants a franchise quarterback, but what this list tells me, this is why I wanted to be shown, is there's more holes in this roster than what is there to believe. Like this roster isn't close to getting that. That's why I say waiting for that franchise quarterback at the right time is better than forcing it right now.
I'm gonna end up playing devil's advocate a little bit with you. I'm gonna say hello to a couple people here, though. Maybe the devil's advocate I'm playing for is the devil himself. No, I'm just kidding, Kurt. This is Mr. Kurt Valente of the K&K Sports Show. The other side, our other cousin, man. Because I'm telling you, he'd be playing a little devil's advocate. Honestly, he'd probably be doing a little yelling and screaming and wouldn't let you finish your sentence if I know his show right. But check him out, man. I'm telling you guys, Let's Talk Broncos, Wednesdays, 8 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, if I remember correctly. Got to check out that show as well as all the fantastic K&K sports shows. But saying hello to Mr. Kurt Valente, got to say hello. Kenny's coming in and he's saying this, in my opinion, Trevor, if you do not try and get your QB this year, there are no guarantees yet next year with QBs worth mentioning on this roster. You'd have to try hard for a QB in this draft. So that was my devil's advocate side of things. What if, right? So I'm going to give you a couple of what ifs. A, what if you don't trade up to 4? What if you trade up to 2? Secondly, what if next year looks like the same year that Kenny Pickett got drafted, the only quarterback drafted in the first round? Then where do you go? Now you've set yourself up where you're like, hey, we'll wait on the quarterback, and then lo and behold, we have a Kenny Pickett in the first round, and that's what you're looking at. And lo and behold, you have the number 5 pick. Thank goodness. And no one wants to trade with you. So A, do you go to number 2 this year to make sure that you do get your QB? And 2, like I said, man, what happens if you get Kenny Pickett next year?
I mean, for me, is there? So you think about Bo Nix? You're saying maybe would be a Kenny Pickett type if they traded down for him. Like if you just took a quarterback.
No, what I'm worried about is, okay, we do what you say. We trade down. We get maybe we end up trading down in the 20s when Bo Nix is already gone, let's say. So we're looking like more like second round, third round type of quarterback. No one we're tied to, right? We're really pushing to next year. Let's face it, if you're trading back, you're not trading back thinking I'm getting the best quarterback out there. I really don't feel that way. If you like Bo Nix at 12, you should take Bo Nix at 12. You shouldn't gamble and say, well, I hope he's there at 22 where our trade back is. And no, you got to take him. If it's that close, you just got to take him. What are you talking about? Moving 10 spots and risking the fact that you're going to lose out on Bo Nix and now you're stuck in the third round or stuck in a second round pick because it just doesn't make any sense to me. So let's just say, in theory, we didn't get our quarterback. We didn't get our quarterback in the first round this year. And next year looks like a Kenny Pickett year. Now what do you do? Or do you trade up to that number 2 pick right now? You give away PS2, you give away first-round draft picks, you give away the farm, but you get your quarterback in the year of quarterbacks, and then you figure out how to build from there.
See, I'll flip it. I'll flip the script on you by saying that one because. So what about last year when the Panthers traded up for Bryce Young, and then this year we're talking about generational with Caleb Williams. So what if next year is even better quarterback class? There's 1 or 2 guys that are even better than all 4 guys this year. I mean, just because there's more depth at quarterback doesn't mean that there can't be a better guy in next year's draft. That's why I say your scouts are having to do their work right now on next year's draft already. You're seeing if you're not going to miss out on a potential quarterback next year. So to me, I mean, I don't mind a quarterback, but for pick 2, PS2, and 2 first-round picks, and what if that quarterback busts? Then what are you going to do? Then you are toast for 3 years without a first-round pick, and they may cost more. It just who knows? But it's just like you're gutting your roster more and more, and you're trying to trade up for one guy. We just went through this with Russell Wilson and Sean Payton, and it's not gotten the team anywhere but 8-9 record. So I get everybody wants to trade up for that franchise quarterback. I understand that 100%. I'm not against it, but this year I'm against it. The only reason is I see where this roster is at. I don't think that they were helping their case and are helping a rookie quarterback by bringing one in, expecting to save the day. And go from there. I just think you need to build your roster out first and then go get the right guy at the right time. That's where in my opinion, this team would be better off instead of doing what they've done for the past 2 off seasons in a row. It's not going anywhere. We're just spinning our tires and you're in the same spot, digging yourself a bigger and bigger hole every single time you do it. So that's why I say, like, I don't mind to trade up in this year's draft class. Drake May falls, but going up and trading realistically, like pick 4 is probably where you're going to get to. Maybe pick 3 if you throw Pat Surtain in there, possibly. I don't think the Commanders are. I don't think the Commanders are trading out of pick 2. So maybe at pick 3, but you may be talking about moving Pat Surtain there, possibly. So it's still going to cost a premium. I guess that's where I'm still coming into the day. I just don't think it's a philosophy that works in the NFL.
It's a philosophy that can backfire in the NFL. That's the problem, and you have to have your route planned out. I got to get in here. First off, I got to get into the best comment of the night I've seen so far, and Martin's coming in here cracking me up over on YouTube. He says, "We can't pay Lambo money this year just because we're worried there's only going to be Pintos next year." So, Martin, I love the reference. So he's with you, man. We can't be
Yeah.
trading up. We can't be, trading all the capital and, all the worth and all the value trying to get the Lambo this year, thinking there's only going to be Pintos on the lot next year. But at the same time, here he is. We're right here, man. Mr. Kurt Valente. Exactly, Keith Bruggeman. You have to go get your QB. No trade down. We need our franchise QB now. No franchise QB, no winning. Simple as that. And this is what I'll say. Hey, look at the Atlanta Falcons. They were able to get the most talented cornerback in the draft maybe ever. A guy that's now coaching just up the hill in Boulder, Colorado. His name was Deion Sanders. And Deion Sanders did amazing things for the Atlanta Falcons, but one thing he never did was bring them a Super Bowl. He never brought them a Super Bowl, right? Had to go to different teams. He won Super Bowls with different teams, but as an Atlanta Falcon, it didn't make sense, right? You can have the best cornerback out there, but if you don't have your quarterback, it makes no difference, man. You're going to be running out there with Chandler or whoever else he was running out there. You got to go get your guy. At some point, you got to get your guy. And I think what Broncos country is sick of, though, is always trying for the hope, right? I hope Joe Flacco can be better. I hope that Drew Lock, our second round quarterback, can do something. I hope that Teddy Bridgewater can be the 5-0 guy that he was in New Orleans and come here and do that for the Denver Broncos. A lot of hope, a lot of hope, a lot of hope. And it's always felt like it's, wish and a prayer, shooting star, maybe the tooth fairy will take care of us type of hope, right? Compared to that, we went out, we got our guy. Here he is. We went to the top of the board. The Denver Broncos have finally invested in a quarterback. And I think of all the things we've tried, Trevor, that's one of the things we haven't tried and failed at yet. And that's why Broncos country is just fine with it. We haven't busted a top round quarterback. Is it time? When are we going to do it, Trevor? If it's not this year, when? Help us. Who's that guy? Who's that guy that's still going to lead Broncos to the promised land?
And that's the thing is they invested to a quarterback. They absolutely did, but it was just the wrong guy, Russell Wilson. They absolutely invested in the wrong guy. And oh, by the way, Paxton Lynch. They didn't invest a farm for Paxton Lynch, but they invested a first round pick in Paxton Lynch. I'm sorry, Broncos country. I didn't mean to bring a name like that up, but I mean, it's just, are we going to be scared away from the philosophy of veteran quarterbacks just because they haven't panned out and been the right quarterback? I'm just saying. I agree with you guys. I agree 100%. Go up and get your guy if you can get him. But this year it's just really hard because you are trading three years in a row. This team would now be trading up premium draft capital to go get three guys. And one, it's not here, and Russell Wilson in Denver. Sean Payton, we don't know if that's going to work out for sure. And now you have a quarterback that you're hoping that once again that he works out. There's no guarantee, even if you trade up for him, that he's going to work out. A couple of these guys are going to hit. It depends on which guy you get and which one Sean Payton wants. I get that, but I mean, Sean Payton. Let's be honest. If he didn't want to stick around, he could bail for Fox. Denver stuck with the quarterback, and now, oh, what are we going to do? We have no first round picks for the next 2 years again. I mean, when's it going to end? Giving up picks. Greg Penner has said it multiple times. We're going to build through the draft. It's really giving up first round picks left and right. Always playing at the top of the market. Is that always something that this team's going to do? Because you're not hitting on that. It's one thing if you hit on it. Yeah, you can go big. This team is not. You took a big swung at Russell Wilson and you missed badly. You struck out. So now you need to, I think, set the table up again where you can do it again. You do that by getting more picks this year, building your roster throughout the year. If you see a quarterback and you want to take a flyer on him in the third, fourth round, do it. Next year, let's see where that quarterback class is. Yeah, I don't want to judge this quarterback class a year in advance. I don't think it's fair to those guys that are coming into this next year's quarterback class. Careful about over-evaluating these quarterbacks, because again, only a few of these guys are actually going to pan out. So if Denver doesn't get one that pans out, they are in worse shape than the one they are right now if they trade up to get one.
Keep in mind, I brought up Kenny Pickett just here recently. Kenny Pickett was elevated. Kenny Pickett was taken before a lot of people thought he should, but the Pittsburgh Steelers said they had all their background knowledge on him. We can see his practice field. He's over there on the practice field. We can see him. So they had all the intel. They knew what they were getting into, and I don't know if they were getting into. And you got to have your research on these guys. You got to know what you're doing. I'm going to get to a couple more comments. Great discussion, and thank you guys, everybody, man. Numbers have been fantastic tonight on a Friday night. Appreciate everyone joining in, being part of the conversation. Actually, now would be a great time. I should tell you guys before we jump into those comments, I got to talk to you about Morgan Trinkets. They are a fantastic sponsor. They are your headquarters for Southwest Pottery Jewelry, Southwest Pottery, and Southwest Jewelry. Make that clear, as well as Estate Gold at wholesale prices, guys. 33 years in the business, started in 1990. Once nationwide, now they concentrate just in northern Colorado, southern Wyoming. In fact, they had a show planned this weekend that's being wiped out by 100-mile-an-hour winds. So you'll have to head over to Morgan Trinkets on Facebook if you want to be doing some transactions with them this weekend. I'm telling you guys, they have wonderful, beautiful, amazing stuff. Just ask one of our good friends and co-hosts, Albert Knoppers. His wife got a piece from Morgan Trinkets and is absolutely loving it. All gold is real gold, 10, 14, and 18 karat gold. All silver is sterling silver. All shipping is free for any orders over $50. And where you find them is at Morgan Trinkets. That's Morgan Trinkets at Facebook.com. By the way, guys, if you're transacting on Facebook, it all goes through PayPal. They also add credit card capability when they're at their shows. Check them out, Morgan Trinkets. But also, now we're going to check out a few comments. We have Martin coming back in and saying, I'm not saying we have to trade down, though I'd like to have a second-round pick this year. I'm saying take what we get at 12. If we must, but let's not mortgage the future on a gamble to move up. So he's just like hey, just hang back. Where it sits is good. I also like this one. I like Eric Trickle over at Dove Valley Deep Divers, MHH guys, good guys over there as well. He says Bo Nix, he has compared to Teddy Bridgewater more than Drew Brees, and maybe not a bad comparison, especially when you looked at guys. If you only know Teddy Bridgewater from the Denver Broncos, the New Orleans Saints, and the Carolina Panthers, and you don't know Teddy Bridgewater pre-injury at Minnesota or when he was at college, Teddy Bridgewater was a completely different quarterback, and that injury completely changed him. More dynamic in the run game, like you can see Bo Nix be. I like that comparison. That's a good one. So, I've got a lot of conversation going on in here. Kenny is coming in and saying, I'm not a Sean Payton fan, but you have to invest in a QB. He wants, not George Payton, not the Penners. Get the guy Sean Payton wants, and, it's the question, man. This is going to be, by the way, guys, fantastic draft coverage here on Rocky Mountain Sports Network, pairing up with the guys over at the K&K Sports Show. But I'm telling you, man, I think it's going to be a wild, wild, wild first round, Trevor. Where we just got done looking at Martin's comment, sitting there at 12, just waiting, holding steady. People are saying trade up. I'm saying get to number 2 possibly. Others are saying no, just trade back. What's the philosophy that you think we go in with? What's the philosophy that you would like to go in with, Trevor? What are you looking for? What are the keys? What do you? Let's just do it. Let's just do it for you. What is your keys? What are you looking at? Are you looking at a particular guy going off the board at a particular point, or being available at a particular point as your key of moving up, moving down? What you need to do?
Talking about just a quarterback.
Yeah, just in general, you're sitting there at 12. The draft kicks off. Is it pick number 4, and it's been 4 quarterbacks, and you're already like, let's just get out of here, or let's get our guy, or what is your mindset? Do you think as the draft kicks off And what are the key points for you that are going to be like key cogs as the draft starts kicking off?
I would definitely monitor the quarterback market for sure. It just also depends on where Sean Payton values these quarterbacks.
Yeah.
Where does he have them stacked? Caleb Williams is probably going to Chicago.
Yep.
We don't know about Jaden Daniels and Drake May flip flop number 2. The people have them at going to Commanders or going to the Patriots. So I would say the draft starts at pick 3 for me. I would
Yeah.
definitely give the Patriots a call because I still think they're open for business. I would definitely check in for a quarterback. Again, for me, it's a guy like Drake May. I think he's got the tools to do it. The processing is what worries me the most, but I don't know. I wasn't in the meeting, so I don't know how good of a processor he is. I think Sean Payton would know that better than I would.
Yes, of
I mean,
course.
I mean, it just if the Patriots stick and pick at 3, now you're probably fighting with Minnesota at 4 to get a JJ McCarthy. So and say what you want, Minnesota has the chance to offer 4 first-round picks to get to number 4. Denver can only offer 3. So this whole thing in a situation where the Broncos can outbid Minnesota, they can't. They just don't have enough that they can offer as far as first-round picks. So I think Minnesota would be able to get the deal done. I would take a look at a couple guys that just dropping it at 12 and see what happens if Brock Bowers drops it to 12. I mean, that's a guy that honestly is a guy that's been falling in some of these mock drafts. If you take a look at some of these mock drafts, I mean, heck, he was going at what 7, 8, 4. Sometimes maybe a little higher at 6. I mean, it's just maybe a 5 to the Chargers, but he's starting to drop. And then if you are Denver, are you going to get one of the better players in this class, possibly at 12? Would he just slip and fall to you because you have 4 quarterbacks going in the top 4 picks of this year's draft? So I'm looking for guys to fall to me. I'm saying, you know what? All these teams want to go chase a quarterback. If I'm not in love with one, hey, just go fight for one. I don't have to trade up this year. I can trade up next year, especially if I get good intel from my scouts that next year's quarterback class has a chance for at least 1 or 2 to come out of that class pretty good. So if that's a chance that I think I'd be willing to take. It's not saying that I wouldn't take a quarterback later in the draft, but at pick 12, I just think it's a little high because I don't know that Bo Nix is that franchise quarterback. To me, he's got a high ceiling or a high floor, but not a high ceiling to me. So I don't know that he is that franchise guy. That's why I keep saying if they trade back to go get Bo Nix, I don't mind that because at least you got a quarterback that under rookie contract that is cheap that you can start. And then if you want down the road to get a better quarterback, you can trade up down the road to get one. But you can move back, get more draft capital, and still get a guy that would fit Sean Payton's system enough to succeed. So there's just so many different avenues you can go. And Denver's got a lot of positions. And it's really hard to sit here and tell you this because I don't know how the draft boards are going to fall and what players are going to fall and where Denver's going to go. I think they're going to want to go a tight end higher than we may think.
Yep.
So
absolutely,
it's just best player position is where I would go, and then if you get a good trade offer, move back. That's where I stand.
That translation, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks a lot, Keith, for giving me a question I can't answer. No, I understand, man. This is difficult. I was thinking as you're kind of going in there, man, to have a pair of binoculars and be able to see in and see what that draft board looks like from Sean Payton, George Payton. Man, that would be something else, man, because that is going to tell us a lot. This is what I was kind of thinking, though. Players for me that I'm really watching for. 1, JJ McCarthy. Where does he go? How do people actually feel about him? Is it a smoke show? Where is he at? We got to talk about Marvin Harrison Jr., in my opinion. Marvin Harrison Jr. is another one of where does he go? Did he hurt himself with what he did in this whole pre-draft, cycle? And overall, where does he get picked? Because if he ends up falling and messing things up, that's an interesting scenario. And the last one for me is got to be the tight end, and Bowers. Bowers is supposedly at one point he was going to be right there at 4 or 5, somewhere in there. I mean, people were having him right at the top of this draft, being, in my opinion, higher ranked and more generational than Kyle Pitts was when he was taken 8th, not just a few years ago. So where that guy is taken, if all of a sudden he ends up jumping into that 5th spot, you know what I mean, and ends up taking and throwing things, these are key cog pieces that's going to, like I said, if something happens, if someone jumps out there and that's the pick that they take, it reshuffles everything. It reshuffles everything. And it'll just be one heck of an interesting night, man. One heck of an interesting night or day or whatever. Yeah, day, night. It's all over the place after you get done with all the rounds, man. But I want to jump in just a couple more comments, maybe get into a secondary piece or two, unless you had more to talk about on this. But the conversation's going great, guys. This is Phil McLaughlin coming in. We've been graced with Phil McLaughlin now for a couple weeks in a row. Appreciate it. He says, no way I trade up, no guarantee unless I get to 1 or 2. But the cost means my new QB is going to get killed possibly. And even if he stays healthy, he could develop PTSD. Trade back, pick up help, including a quarterback, and build. Next year, we could have 4 good QBs. Only time will tell, in my opinion. He's got his shades on. He's got his smiley faces on. I appreciate you, Mr. Phil McLaughlin. And that's just it, man. This is the dichotomy that we're stuck with right now, guys. You know, some people are saying, yes, everything. Do whatever it takes. Get your guy. If he's there, you see him, you love him, go get him. Doesn't matter. Be like the New Orleans Saints when they gave up their entire draft to go get Ricky Williams. I don't care. Get your quarterback. And other people are like, you know what? No way are we doing that, man. We are not in the position. Our roster's not in the position. We've given away draft picks for years and years and gotten nothing in return so far. It's time that we hold steady and, hold tight to the purse strings, as they would say, and start to actually build this roster in a sane way instead of trying to shoot for the stars. It's crazy, man. It's 2 sides of the fence, I feel, and it's in a place I don't think we've necessarily been. I mean, we all knew that we should move on from Joe Flacco. It was obvious, no one was in love with Paxton Lynch. Give him one more try. We're in a different position now where we're trying to figure out where the future is going to go, Trevor. And it's, like I said, it's going to be fun. It's going to be insane. It's going to be passionate, I think. And I don't think it's going to necessarily be resolved when we get done with the draft. I think there's still going to be a lot of people on either side of the fence. What are your thoughts, bud?
Yeah, and just keep in mind, George Payton said they're going to add a veteran quarterback. So, I mean, does that kind of point to maybe where they're thinking in this year's draft? Yeah, I think pick 3 is where the draft starts. I think depending on what the Patriots do at pick 3, do they stick and pick or do they trade out?
Mm-hmm.
To me, it could depend on what Denver does. I mean, it really does, because if and why I say that is because the Patriots trade out of pick 3, and they trade to Minnesota, and Minnesota wants Drake May. Well, now Denver's probably got a clear pathway to get a guy like JJ McCarthy. And then on the other side, if it's, well, the Patriots still want to move out of 3, they are in love with the quarterback, they take Drake May or Jay Daniels, whichever one's there at pick 3. And Minnesota wants to move up for a quarterback, and they want McCarthy. Well, now Denver's having to fight with Minnesota. Now it's a tougher battle to get McCarthy if that's the quarterback that they want. So it's just, we won't find out really until pick 3. That's really when we will find out what the heck Denver's plan may be to get up in this year's draft. Maybe they're just kind of spitballing. They just don't want a quarterback in general, and they're just throwing JJ McCarthy's name out there just to kind of get off for other teams to get off their trail to get something else. That's also we also have to take that in consideration. Maybe they don't want a quarterback at all in this year's draft. Maybe they're just trying to get people off their trail, try to get the best player available at pick 12, or they already are talking about deals to trade back. You don't know. I mean, that's it. George Payton, Sean Payton, they kind of have to balance that. I mean, George Payton likes to get more picks. Sean Payton likes to trade up and be aggressive. They're going to have to balance each other out and really take a good look at this roster and say, are we just a quarterback away? Or maybe they would take that shot next year, try to get more draft capital and build this roster going in next year. Because keep in mind, that first round pick, that's your security blanket if this team ends up being worse. I mean, I would feel bad if this team was worse. You give up your first round pick next year in 2025. That's another team's first round pick instead of the Denver Broncos picking next year.
Mm-hmm. I'm gonna play a little devil's advocate, and we'll move on because I think Kenny has a good point here. He says 2 teams need a quarterback in the AFC West. because the Broncos and the Raiders, you can't let the Raiders outdraft you and get a franchise quarterback before you do. Sitting there at number 13, just one spot behind us, right? Not only are they picking up whatever we pass on, but they have the ability to also try to go get their quarterback. And I hate to tell you, Kenny, unfortunately, because of where we sit with our draft picks, having no second round pick, we are not sitting in a very good position to quote unquote get our quarterback. It really means getting way up there and giving away good picks probably next year, or a lot of picks or good talent in order to try to make that jump. And that's why we're stuck with all of this. We got a few more minutes, man, before we get out of here. I did want to talk about just a few signings that came about that we hadn't talked about. Just get those off the board. Center Sam Mustipher, tackle Calvin Throckmorton, and maybe even offensive lineman Matt Pert, which I would love to hear Kenny, if he's still listening, what his thoughts on Matt Pert is. But what were your thoughts on these three signings that we kind of recently saw? We also, by the way, we did re-sign little Jordan Humphreys. He was a free agent of ours, but that kind of came in the mix. Nothing necessarily to talk about per se there. But the new guys, what were your thoughts, bud?
Yeah, Mustipher is the one that stands out to me the most because I think he has a chance to potentially start at center. He did start for Chicago a couple years. He's 27, be 28 when the season starts. That to me is one that I'm really looking forward to seeing how that plays out. Remember how George Payton and Sean Payton were saying that Alex Forsythe, they see him as a starter. Well,
Mm-hmm.
are they backtracking a little bit because they just signed a guy that has started with Chicago before? Maybe that's their security blanket at center. I know some people are probably getting tired of me saying security blanket, but I mean, they're depth signings, but Mustipher is the one that really sticks out to me the most because that center position, there is a hole there, and we have not seen Forsythe play a season in the NFL yet, so we don't know what he has to offer. That to me is the most one of the more important signings to keep an eye on. The other signings are depth signings for me. They're not going to take over McGlinchey. They're not going to take over any of the rest of the guys. As far as starters or anything, they'll just be guys that depth guys per se. So I don't take too much into it. It's just a team taking a chance on a couple of offensive linemen that they think has some upside to them at some point in time. I don't expect these guys to play a whole lot this year. They'll probably be fighting for roster spots, I would say, come this preseason.
There you go. Well, that's good to hear because I did ask Kenny what his thoughts were. He came back in. He says, Matt Pert, UConn tackle, low risk, high reward out of UConn. Couldn't shake the injury bug. I think he can compete for a starting job if needed and fill in as well. Needed at the tackle, fill in as well if needed at the tackle position. So appreciate it, bud. He says he's also a little bit flexible. He can play both left and right. So injury bug is not what I like to hear. Denver Broncos, I feel like we're kind of maybe putting that in the past. Finally, it's feeling a little bit better now. Last year kind of gave us a breath of release after we got past with Tim Patrick. My thoughts on these signings, but before I do that, guys, last little plug. Don't forget, settle the scores. I'm sorry, with Scoops. It's the debut episode. It's at 8:30 right here on Rocky Mountain Sports Network. Would love to get a lot of you guys over there listening in. Great Rockies podcast. Can't wait for Scoops to kick it off. But my thought on these guys are much similar to you, man. I was, as you know, I was a huge Lloyd Cushenberry fan. Wanted us to see if we could re-sign him. I thought, hey, why are we getting rid of this talent? Well, I really saw why we did. There was no way we were competing with Tennessee in the contract that he got, and I'm glad that we didn't. I'm glad that he got paid, and I wish him all the best. That being said, I wasn't feeling really good about just being like, hey, we got Forsythe, no big deal. It's good to have a guy come in. Mustipher, like you said, 47 starts in his career, 6'2", 332 pounds, has some experience. Kind of funny he went to Baltimore and ended up not being utilized because he was heavily utilized in Chicago, basically was their starting center there. So excited to get him on the roster. Calvin Throckmorton and Matt Pert, again, maybe not as many starts out there. Only 7 starts for Matt Pert. So though he did have 43 games he played in, Calvin Throckmorton, guys, he does have 27 starts. So I'm sorry, 27 starts. And he's a big guy, and I think he's versatile. I think that's an under the radar type of signing that we could have at tackle as well. So I know one of those teams was the New Orleans Saints, but he also played for the Carolina Panthers and the Tennessee Titans as well. So yes, we all have history. Don't get too caught up on the fact that this is another New Orleans Saint. I think that we have some good signings as far as that's concerned. So, gentlemen, we got to get some final thoughts in. I know this won't take long because there's only 2 of us on the screen. Got to plug the show before I guess I throw it over to you guys. Denver Bronco Roundup every Tuesday, every Friday. If you're on here Tuesday, you pick up 1 or 2 more guests. We always have Dutchie on here. We're expecting getting Jody back. We've been getting some guests on here, like we had Kenny of the K&K Sports Show on here last week. So please like, share, subscribe. We appreciate all the love that we're getting. Growing on YouTube, growing on Facebook. Denver Bronco Roundup, Rocky Mountain Sports Network. It seems like we're getting bigger and bigger, and now we're going to be, anteing it up one more with Settle the Scores, and that'll be debuting tonight, man. But let me get your final thoughts, Trevor, before we get on out of here. What do you think, bud?
By the way, Keith, Phil McLaughlin sent stars. I just want to point that out.
Oh, thank you.
Before I go anywhere with my final topic to discuss. So I just wanted to shoot that out, shout out there. Thank you,
big shout out. Yeah, man. Yeah, absolutely, man. If you see it, shout it out, man. I can't see it, at least on my end. I'm trying to monitor about 4 different screens here. So I appreciate you so much, Phil.
Yeah, appreciate you, Phil. And then thank you, everybody, for letting us know. 200 stars is what also Kenny sent me a message too. So thank you, Phil. Really appreciate you tuning in. I hope you love the content that we're continuing to give you. Again, plenty more to come, really, in the weeks to come. Again, we have a great 3-day in a row draft show to come up. Again, we're going to need a lot of coffee, a lot of caffeine. Man, we're going to be here more. I mean, your family. We're going to be eating, dinner here with you guys. So, just can't wait to see you guys then. But got a great show, Keith, and it's a great Friday night. It's a great chance to kind of ease the mind a little bit, talk a little quarterbacks, talk about the roster. Also, guys, I want to kind of give a little bit of a shout out to my family. A little bit of a hard week this week. I know we try to keep it Broncos here, but it was a little personal this week. So I had one of my family members unfortunately passed away. So I just want to give a shout out to my family. And just RIP to Cindy McCoy. I really appreciate whatever she did for me. All nothing but love. Really love her, and I'm glad that I got to spend a few days with her. And RIP Cindy. I really appreciate you, and please, guys, continue to keep my family in your thoughts and prayers. And I really appreciate you guys. Again, this really helps being on this podcast. Really helps kind of keep my mind off everything, and just thank you guys for everything, for being awesome. You guys are really the best, and I can't wait to continue to discuss Denver Broncos with you guys and continue to bring positivity and awareness to you guys as much as possible. So really appreciate you guys, and we'll see you guys here on Tuesday. May see you in an hour, maybe here in a little bit. We'll see.
You might get a surprise visit, surprise guest. You never know what's going to happen up on Settle the Scores. It's a brand new podcast. It's all Rockies. It'll be on the Rocky Mountain Sports Network at 8:30 Mountain Standard Time, just around the corner, guys, like a half hour away. But you're getting lots of love, bud. Just like you were before from me pre-show. I didn't want to bring anything up. Here you are, gutting it through, talking Broncos. Like you said, gets our mind off of things, feels good. Gets us going away. It gets us away from maybe the realities of our life sometimes when we get on here with other good friends talking Broncos. But the reality of life does set in, and that being said, you're getting lots of love and lots of thoughts and lots of prayers, and it's well-deserved, buddy. My thoughts and prayers are with you as well, man. Kenny's coming in and saying, great job, guys. By the way, I got a confirmation for our draft. We'll have live draft coverage for the Broncos pick. How about that, guys? A little bit of live draft coverage. You're going to have to be checking us out. Rocky Mountain Sports Network, K&K show coming together for a fantastic draft show. Can't wait, man. Coffee? Yeah, coffee. We'll need coffee. Yeah, lots of more thoughts and prayers coming in from Kenny as well as Ernie Mays. Guys, we appreciate, again, all the love, all the support. Phil, I apologize. Like I said, watching 22 screens, I missed your stars, but we love that and we appreciate the support. Guys, we love and support. We love and appreciate all the support of you, every single one of you just coming in. Those stars, just one more added bonus and benefit. We appreciate you guys that are able and capable of doing so, but it's not always necessary. We love you none the least. We got to get out of here, guys. But like I said, don't forget Rocky Mountain Sports Network. We're on Facebook. We're on YouTube. We're on Twitter. We'll be getting those uploads here shortly back on Apple Podcast and Spotify. Stay tuned for those. Guys, I appreciate you so much. It's been a fantastic night talking Denver Broncos football with you. Always appreciate it. Again, every Tuesday, every Friday, 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. We're going to go ahead and get out of here in our traditional way by keeping our feet in the stirrups, keeping our guns in our holsters, and keeping our Broncos and maybe even Trevor tonight in our hearts. Good night, everybody. Thank you very much. Take it easy.